A good conversation can shift the direction of change forever. Would you leave it to chance? Join the authors of Design to Change and explore this series of conversations with designers and event owners. Driven by the need and conversations with event owners and event designers who use the event canvas around the world, this series explores the depths of conversations to elevate your abilities to look and act beyond the now. Episodes are hosted by Ruud Janssen, Rolf Friesen, Dennis Lehrer, and Paul Rukens, with illustrious changemakers, designers, and pioneers in the field of design and beyond. To explore these conversations and additional content, visit designtochange.online. For now, let's start the conversation. Conversations.
All right, welcome back to the Design to Change podcast. With me today, I'm delighted to have Dr. Baris Onay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for hosting me.
Yeah. So for the listeners, my name is Ruud Janssen, one of the hosts of the Design to Change podcast. We're in season 6, right? Episode 222. It's a nice round number. And Baris, welcome to the show. And keen to hear your answer. And we'll do a little introduction of Baris in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to ask you the question that is the first page of the book of the Design to Change book. A good conversation can shift the direction of change forever. Would you leave it to chance?
I wouldn't know.
You would
because
not.
My general mantra is failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And the thing is, if you have a chance to have any prep for something important, I think you should maximize it. And not overdo it. Of course, don't go in your mind like living the whole thing, but get your facts right, know what you want to say, what the outcome you want is. Have some prep. If you have the prep time to, it will give you wings. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Dr. Baris Onay, where are you calling in from today? Are you in London today or in?
Yes, I'm in London, yes.
Yeah, in London. So, calling in from London, Baris helps events and media make sense of their data, their digital, and their marketing to unlock sustainable double-digit organic growth. That's a very LinkedIn tagline, as you might discover if you connect to
on it. That goes with the prep line.
Yeah.
The thing is, my expertise has always been, I've been an events person for more than 20 years, like many people who listen to this podcast, I guess. But we all have our take on events because events is such a big industry. And mine has always been at the intersection of digital and events. And my age showing now, when I really started out, digital was wow. It was like AI today. People didn't know what it was. People were afraid of it. And I was young and I wasn't afraid of it. So I kind of assumed it, and I kind of created a niche for myself where I would understand both worlds. And that has now pushed me towards, at the end, 20 years later, to that tagline.
Yeah. So over the past 4 years, you have an organization called Precision Communities, right? Of which you're the co-founder and the CEO. Before that, you were involved as in various roles as Group Marketing and Digital Director for ITE Group, Chief Commercial Officer for Tarsus, Chairperson of the Exhibition Groups of ESEF, founder of Virtual Strategy Limited. You sound like a multipreneur with a background in history of architecture, and you're a doctor of philosophy in urban planning.
Yeah, well,
how does that happen?
Talk about a wild card. And because the thing is, as with many other listeners to this podcast, I would tend to believe I didn't start out wanting to be an events person because I had no idea that the events industry existed. My father is an architect. I wanted to be an architect. I studied architecture. I studied it in Istanbul, in Paris. I studied a lot. I started my PhD, but I fell into the industry like everyone else, because I came back from Paris to Istanbul at my second year of doctoral studies, and it so happened to be coinciding with the triannual World Congress of Architecture to be done in Istanbul the following year. And the Chamber of Architects was looking for someone that could speak a few languages, that was good with the sciences and stuff. So I got the job. And 20 years later, I'm still doing events. So that's how it happened.
So in all the architecture happens before the scaffolding of the actual event gets built, and the the real work gets to happen. But an architect is also someone, I suppose, from that background, appreciating the history of architecture. The tools have dramatically changed over time, I suppose, that you use, or that architectures have used, and constructors or general contractors and specialists have used in the trade. Over the past 20 years, what's kind of the evolution you've seen as a change in your specific field? Because you are highly specialized from what our previous conversation was. Oh, by the way, which got sparked because Baris published something called the Event Strategy Bot, which we'll talk about a bit more in a moment.
Mhm.
But what are some of the changes that you've seen over that 2 decades of tools in the industry for
Mhm.
exhibitions and events? What kind of shifts have you seen that are relevant just as a context for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the past 20 years, when I started out, let's put it that way, we had our own bespoke CRM, lots of Excels, and we were trying to knit together pieces of information to be able to send an email from an email server that we built up and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so that because CRM was something that was reserved for big companies and like ERP never heard of, and so we don't do that. Yeah. So
yeah.
we were happy with our small Excels and stuff. That was the company I started working in. But that company was a media company. It was not just an events company. So we had exhibitions, conferences. We had a publishing business. We had our own bookstores. We had lots of different ways of touching the same single customer. And my first, let's say, breaking into this digital meets events, let's say, intersection came about when I was tasked to bring the whole data together. So I would then we with the team we created a new database of people, which was a basic SQL database, but we will pull from different places. It would
Hmm.
pull from interactions, points, like you logged into the website, you came to our exhibition, you signed up to this event but didn't come to it, you bought this book from us. So those data points created a profile on you. I mean, which sounds very straightforward when we talk about it right now, but 20 years ago was a big thing. And
Yeah.
no one had it because there wasn't a tool that was out there available out of the box for events that would allow you to do it. So we created this from scratch by our own hands, really SQL programming and stuff. Very clumsy when you look at it now,
Hmm.
but that was our, let's say, claim to fame. That really allowed us to create highly complex and high value relationships with our customers
Yeah.
that wanted to reach those audiences. And
Hmm.
we even started having towards the end of my tenure there, before we sold the company to IT, which brought me to London. Before that, we would have our clients come talk about their yearly goals for the company. Hey, I want to
Hmm.
reach architects because we were generally on architecture and design. They
Yeah.
would come to us. I want to see reach architects who will be working on hotel projects in the coming 18 months.
Hmm.
Now, that is like, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you who's going to be looking at a hotel project, but I can tell you who's buying hotel books from us. I can
Yeah.
tell you who is signing up to hospitality events with us and things like that. So that was our thing. So now that's today is more mainstream for the companies who want to achieve that type of complexity because
Hmm.
tools like HubSpot, better usage of the event bespoke tools, some platforms out there, event management tools, do allow you to automatically segment your customers, automatically send emails to your customers, and now write those emails for you. So the tool set has really, I think, jumped a few hoops. Yeah. But the mentality, I'm not sure has
Hmm.
the need or because the tools today, I work with lots of event tech, let's say buyers when they're
Yeah.
buying. and they buy it with all the best. Oh, we're gonna use this, we're gonna use that. Then I work with them to write processes around. Okay, how are we gonna use this? And they say okay, and they go like one of these like crazy detective movies. Red lines. When this happens, that will happen. A picture here, then this will happen. And if it clicks this, we're gonna. If it doesn't click that, we're gonna. And then, okay, I said, "Are you crazy?
It's like
This
a
will not
three-dimensional
work.
puzzle. Yeah.
It's just not gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just let's do it in bits and pieces."
Yeah.
And then people just when they see what the art of the possible is, they
Mm.
want to go full blast all and pull all levers and really create a very complex machine which they think will give them an incredible rate of fire and let's say get people hooked up to their show by itself. But I have never seen that to be the main driver of any results related to events.
Yeah.
The tools are great, they're very important,
Yeah.
but you should know what you want, what the business outcome you want to drive, what the behavior you want to drive is before
Yeah.
you go to process and tool selection and actually implementing them.
I love that. The behavior change is the driver of the tech stack, right? It's
Should
not
be.
just a driver of the
It
tech
not
stack.
always is, but it should be.
It should be. It should be. And the good thing is, behavior change is also the only mechanism known to mankind that delivers value for events, right? So, actually, by doing what you're doing, you are creating little micro events of creation, co-creation, I suppose. You're architecting the handshake business 2.0, as you call it, right?
Yeah.
In your recent article. Um, can you actually architect humans' behaviors? Is that actually possible?
I think in my time I worked at really big corporate companies, yeah, that have 2,000 people in distributed locations, and I was
Yeah.
very fortunate to be at the C level and seeing all that. And I have seen the power of getting incentives right,
Hmm.
and I have seen the peril of getting them wrong as well.
Okay.
When you are incentivizing human beings, they're not always incentivized by money. But it actually is a very small portion of
Hmm.
their personal drive. Yeah, it is important. Yeah, but so it's like I had a unhappy employee, something was off, and I talked to my boss and I said, "Can we give him more money?" He said, "Why? You're just gonna have a higher paid unhappy employee."
Yeah.
So what is driving this unhappiness? Let's find that. So
Yeah.
when you're driving, when you're designing for your own company internally, everything's under your control in your company, right? It's a monarchy. You do whatever you want. When you're designing an incentive system, let's say for your salespeople, if you do not really pay attention to what the behavior you're incentivizing is, you will end up incentivizing the wrong behavior, which will bring the wrong outcome. Yeah. If you're incentivizing beating your quota every week or a month, some made sales will wait in the drawer and be surfaced at the last moment. Yeah. That's not what you want to incentivize. You should be very careful. So same goes for the marketing people. If you're incentivizing registrations, who cares about registrations if they don't turn up? Yeah. They will spend more on ads and you will find great registration numbers. So
Yeah.
the thing is, think of this internally in your company. All
Hmm.
the road to hell is paved with stones of goodwill. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can create with the best of intentions the very worst incentives out there. So
Yeah.
same applies to your events. Why people should come to your
Hmm.
event? What
Hmm.
happens at your event? What is it that they're getting? If you don't do your research right, if you don't understand your audience rights, you will have the wrong levers. You will pull the long levers and get the wrong incentives up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, that being the case, some people say that research is like a drunk man under a lamppost, right? Looking at the little part that has been illuminated, but not at the part that's not been illuminated. Why do you think that research and understanding, you as a PhD, you've gone deep into a subject matter at one point in your life and can now apply that skill set to all sorts of dynamics when it comes to Handshakes 2.0. Why do you choose to be in events?
uh, the thing is, in events, when I first got the job, when the CEO that was interviewing me many years ago, I was what, 25 something,
Yeah.
and he said it's a very social job. You'll like it. Yeah, we
Mm.
have openings, we have events. I was like, okay, whatever. And if you're an extrovert like I am, if you like talking to people, if you enjoy conversations,
Yeah.
it is incredible because your job is actually to socialize. It's great. What else do you want? You get paid to do something that you really like doing. Going to events, talking to people, understanding different industries, and with the events, and if you're fortunate enough to be like me to be at a certain level to be industry agnostic.
Yeah.
One day you're doing a oil and gas event, the other day you're doing a sports event, the other day you're doing something else. So you get to understand how different industries work. You get
Yeah.
to understand how people come together in different settings,
Yeah.
and that to me is very appealing. I enjoy seeing humans come together.
Yeah. It is very gratifying to experience the outcomes and track them over time, right? So to see how relationships develop, how business develops, how missions get progressed. And when you have some, as the French say, recul, if you can take a
Yeah.
step back and zoom out at the bigger picture, you can actually distinguish the deltas, the changes over time of
Mhm.
what happens in a specific space. Have you recently been to this architecture conference you once orchestrated many years ago, or have you lost
No, but
track
I
of them?
follow it up. But I follow it up,
Yeah,
and the thing is, the world, also that world is changing, and
yeah,
it is the Association of Chambers of Architects of the World. So that also is changing, and it's been Indonesia last, I think. I haven't been to it, but yeah, I tend to follow it up.
yeah, yeah. So it also sounds like a highly political structure at some point. When the governance gets more complex and more stakes are involved in the decision making, events can also get very sticky when it comes to taking decisions about very, pragmatic things. Would you agree?
I started at a very highly political events like that one, yeah, because there was Chamber of Architects, there was like a ministry, there was an international chamber, there was like committees and decision making. Oh my God, it was like incredible. But then when the crunch time hits, somebody needs to take that decision. Yeah,
There's only
somebody
a
needs
few
to say,
people that
this
raise
is
their hands then, right?
yes, it's
Yeah.
like this is
Yeah.
the way we're doing it. Yeah, like it or not, this is the way. And
Yeah.
so I was one of those guys. And then moving on to B2B, let's say for profit setting, it's a very
Yeah.
different world.
Yeah.
So it's very crystal clear. We know what we're doing. We know what we want. We know how to achieve it. So it's a
Yeah.
very different, let's say, ball game. But
Mm.
then lately we had an experience of working with the African Union. Then again, starts to be complex, let's say, decision making with Christian communities. We are the digital operations partner for many shows, and one of them is the Intra-African Trade Fair, which is a behemoth sponsored by Afrexim Bank. It's the mission is to fuel growth, intra-African trade growth. But there's so many decision makers, and we are the digital operation partner, so we make stuff happen. And we spent some sleepless nights waiting for decisions, and then when they came late, we had to scramble a lot of firepower to get things done. So I know
Yeah.
from firsthand the two ends of the spectrum of the speed and the clarity of movements in B2B, and the other end, how it might become a challenge.
Yeah. And that opacity, do you thrive in it or do you dislike it? Do you prefer like somebody that's super clear in their, speed and clarity when it comes to B2B handling or
Personally, I'm very okay with ambiguity
yeah,
because I'm very okay with making a call when a call needs being made.
yeah,
And but that's a character trait. That's not something I cultivated. That's not something I learned. It's just
yeah,
me. I was like
yeah,
this
yeah,
when I was 5 years old.
yeah,
So for me, it's fun. But for Some of my co-founders, some of my team, not so.
Is it also because they're the builders and makers and you're the thinker, or is it?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, it takes a certain type of person to handle this type of stress, I think.
yeah, yeah, I can imagine. You come into a crunch, and but at the same time, the ability to get decision makers to change their behavior and take decisions, or make the calls at specific points, I think is one of the critical success factors of what good architects and good event designers and good event owners and real estate owners and whatever is in between have in common, I suppose, right? You
Let me
have to
tell
be
you
able to
something.
think like in very ambiguous and opaque terms, and visualize things that others don't see yet, and then you
Uh,
have to rationalize it down to a blueprint that can actually stand the
One of
test of
the
time.
most famous architects, Le Corbusier, once said,
Yeah.
the teaching of architect, the study of architecture, is the best teaching for anything but architecture. And
Or anything but
yeah,
architecture.
but architecture,
Okay.
because what it meant is because when you're studying architecture, yeah, they teach you a bit about math, a bit about structural design, a bit of interior design, a bit of color theory, a bit of actual design, a bit of everything, but not deep in anything. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
architecture is.
yeah,
Because as an architect, when you then graduate and start working, now I have for a few years, when you're working, you're not supposed to be the best at any of those. You work with lots of people who are the best at all of those, and you are the orchestrator. Yeah, the
yeah,
famous quote from Bill Gates: "He plays the orchestra." Not Bill Gates. I'm sorry, Steve Jobs. He plays the orchestra. Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't play an instrument. So that's what architecture teaches you. Yeah, that you
yeah,
need to know deep enough to manage the actual people who know how to manage stuff, and
yeah,
that's for me in events has helped me a lot. Yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah,
events is a very from logistics to lots of, I mean, there's so many different moving parts. You cannot be the master of everything,
yeah,
and you should be comfortable in not being the master of everything. Yeah,
yeah,
but know deep enough to be able to know when it's time to make a decision, know or sniff test if a decision is right or wrong, and that has really helped me, I think, in making my transition to events.
I think that's a powerful way of looking at it, and I believe a lot of people in events are just like what Le Corbusier said, have probably a very wide palette of different kind of generalistic skills, right? And deal with people that have very deep trade skills of being able to do things very well, right? Whether it be hospitality or logistics or marketing or public relations or human resources or whatever the subject matters might be. And very often the client base is also highly specialized in a specific field, especially when you're talking about the types of organizations you started off your career with. When thousands of architects get together for an event, you know the amount of architecture brain power in the same room that might agree or disagree, probably more the latter, about what and how to do it, becomes a multitude more difficult than ever before, right?
And that's also another thing I see when you're in your pure B2B for-profit players, they always have clarity because their North Star is, as we know, profit. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they know
yeah,
what they want to achieve
yeah.
there. But when you're doing on the other hand, more mission-driven events, yeah,
Hmm.
the people involved in the decision making are more involved about the mission, yeah, and therefore from the field that the event is about. Like
Yeah,
you said, architects doing an architecture event that actually have no idea how to do an event, but they are very good architects. Yeah. So there's a deficit there in that decision making pot. That hey, whoop, what's gonna this? Let's not do that. Shall
yeah,
we try this? Oh, but in one of my projects has no relevance. I'm sorry, this just doesn't compute. But on the other hand, the professional organizer might also feel detached from its own industry. detached, so far removed from the ethos, from the mission of the industry is trying to get profits from. So basically, you need to find good compromises in both scenarios, I think.
Yeah. Now that sounds all good and well, and our listeners are, probably philosophically very aligned with all of the things we're saying. But there's a point when the rubber hits the road where the talk has to be converted into action, right? Like you said, there comes a point where the architect has to crunch down to the creation process of actually doing something with that information. The first time I came across your work was when I saw the event strategy bot in action, and I reached out and I said, "This is a very interesting approach of you, sharing part of your mission." And this is one of the questions. I apologize. One of the questions I have is: are you a mission-driven person, or are you a hard-coded B2B deliverer?
Can I cheat by saying a mix of both? Can I say that?
Well, you're an architect. You do a bit of both.
Because the thing is, the company that I first started out, which was called the Building Information Center back in Turkey, was a very mission-driven company. But it was a company. It was not an association. Yeah. When they were founding that company, the founders, they wanted to start it as a company to have longevity, to have so that it makes its own money, so that it has it's run like a company that it can make profit to sustain itself. It doesn't become an association that is relying on the members to give it money all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there is a compromise you can find. If you are purely mission driven and cannot sustain yourself because of that, you put yourself into a tight spot. If you're only money driven, people will know. Yeah. You will not be able to connect to the higher intellectual mission forever. But you need to, I think, again, find a good compromise between to be commercial driven, but also delivering or serving a mission or enabling a mission if you're not doing the mission yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let's switch gears a moment to that really pragmatic part of where the rubber hits the road. Last week, the World Economic Forum took place here in Davos in Switzerland, just around the corner.
Did you go?
Sorry?
Did you go?
I did not go. I did not go. I observed it very closely and I studied its behavior and the behavior of its stakeholders. And we documented that in an event culture analyzer to kind of get a sense of what's happening in 2026, where has this come from and where is it going in the future. But before we get to that, I'd like to highlight specifically a tool that you built called the Event Strategy Bot, and maybe take a look. I'll share it on the screen for those that are listening in. You might have to check out the video just to kind of get a gist of what this actually looks like in practice. But one of the things that we have here is kind of an output of something you built that's available to anyone, really. I think, right? You're very altruistic in giving away your. Yeah, giving away your bot, and I've pulled up one of the examples from Baris's website for the World Economic Forum, in which he creates a strategic overview based on what kind of data do you need to build this, Baris? Nothing.
The bot, let me tell you why the bot came about and how this works is because when I work with my consulting capacity with customers, owners of events, I always need to first do my own analysis of their events before talking to them. Yeah. Then I found myself repeating the same processes, blah, 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 blah. And last summer I said, hey, I'm going to build something that does this for me. So the bot came about at the end of the summer. I published it. It has now been used for more than 1,000 events. I'm very happy with the influx of interest it has received. And now it has become a thing. Yeah, people are using it every day to work on other events because it's for free. It's out there. You can use it. And this, what you're showing right now is I put it to use to understand the World Economic Forum. The bot was actually used for more creative, for more the clear-cut B2B end of things. But it did a pretty good job. I don't know what you think with the World Economic Forum as well. And I learned things that I didn't know about the forum. that it was only
Yeah.
3,000 people. I thought it was much bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
And things
Yeah.
like that. And what the bot needs is just a URL of
Yeah.
the event you want to analyze.
Yeah.
You go to the link, you access the bot on ChatGPT, and you give it the URL of the event you want analyzed, then give it 5 minutes. Then it will dish out that 10-point strategy on what the event is, its historic performance, its peer group. There's an industry calendar, there's a SWOT analysis, there's a tech stack, there's lots of things that it comes about.
Yeah.
And the only thing it needs is the URL, because I taught the bot at what to look at when it's looking at events. I taught it how events works in my own understanding. Yeah, I taught it what is good, what is not when a KPI moves this way, that way. All the KPIs that it cites, what they mean. So this is a expert system that understands events to a surprising degree, I have to tell you, and it outputs. It can output this type of a report for any event, anywhere, anytime, for free. It's out there. Just use it. And the reason I put it out is because my personal work as a consultant starts when the bot stops. Yeah. So basically, this doesn't cannibalize my work. This just brings more work to me if it does. Yeah. Because this is a good start of understanding any event. Let's say you are looking at buying an event. Yeah. Put the URL in. Oh, you have a great analysis of what that event looks like and a few of its competitors. You know what? Go around about on the competitors as well and get a snapshot of that whole industry worldwide. Yeah. Or you have your event, there's a problem with it, you don't know what it is. Give the bot a chance, really. Let it do its thing. And what some people do forget is that once you have access to the bots, you have access to the bot. Yeah. It's not just the 10-point thing it comes out. You can keep talking to it. Yeah. Ask more questions about that analysis, because it also is programmed to recursively look at what it just said and reply to you based on what it just said. So if you can really iterate ideas with it. But the thing is, it will never replace a real strategy work, a real consultant, but it will give you great ammunition to really go hire a consultant and talk to that person of, oh, okay, I'm having these types of concerns. Can we look at these things? And how it compiles that much information is sometimes people ask me. Most of this exists in separate press releases, sometimes from your exhibitors, not always from the, let's say, event itself. Then it's compiled, checked against each other. And if we find the same number in more than one, we take it as real. And then it gives you the citation. I found this number from here. And then it will, if you read the report in detail, it will give citations to every number it finds. Then it does calculations. There's some calculatory metrics in there. Like if this was a B2B event, it would calculate visitor per exhibitor and get compound annual growth rate on that. So to give you ideas about where the metrics are moving. And then looking at those, make up its mind. Okay, the visitor per exhibitor is going up. This is a good sign. So I'll keep that in mind and refer it to when I look at the program. And so that's how it's a very complex system that thinks by itself for you. And it does all that in like less than 5 minutes. I still find it amazing. I use it. I use the bot all the time. I don't use the one that's published. I have my own version, I have to say. And every now and then that is, let's say, significantly apart, I update the public bot. Then I work on my own one again.
That's smart, right? So you have multiple intelligence levels in the bots that you apply publicly versus within intramural versus extramural, so to say, right? So there is a bit of a moat in your castle, I would suppose, when it comes to teasing the basics and
I mean, the basics is I showed this to a few friends and said, "You're giving away too much." Yes, it is. It's actually, if you If you're not an event strategist, yeah. But if you are thinking about an event and if you have an event, I don't know, this will give you so much food for thought, yeah, for free. It's just out there. But I believe, just like you said, in where the rubber meets the road, you can write the best strategy in the world. It's not going to change anything for you, yeah,
No,
anything.
no,
If you don't
exactly.
apply it right, with the right incentives, with the right behaviors, with for the right reasons, yeah. So that's why I think I would love to think I'm still needed. So that's why I give the boat out for free to everyone.
Yeah. Well, that's very generous of you, and thank you for doing that. We're going to make sure to link that as well in our show notes, and as well as in the LinkedIn newsletter. Look out for that and try it, and give your feedback to Baris, and maybe leave some comments here in the newsletter or in the podcast as well. Baris, in the backstage, I'm going to invite you in a moment, right? And we'll take a sneak peek at something that you inspired, right? About the strategy creation and this ability to analytically look at situations much more specifically. But for now, what I'm keen to ask you is what's currently on your horizon of change? You know, here I'm looking out at some hills in Switzerland, a little bit of snow on the top of this one here. What's currently on your horizon of change if you're looking into the horizon for yourself or for in your business?
Yeah, I'm well, two things. One is with personally, I'm looking at working with some big exhibitors because always worked with organizers. Yeah. And now I have talked to some exhibitors, and I think I am going to create a version of the bot that works for the exhibitor in creating a yearly event plan for the exhibitor.
Yeah.
And that I hope I will publish that by the end of Q1, pretty soon actually, in a month and a half. So that's what I'm working on. That's one big thing. And the second is I'm always around in the circles of big private equity investments in the industry that I love working with because there's such analytical prowess when you work with those people. So that is still going on for me, and I love doing that. And I might be doing a bit more on that front as well.
Very interesting. And these are people, you know, the private equity prowess is there to. So on the one side, I see that you're going down the food chain, meaning the exhibitors that drive the actual exhibitions that, you know, spend their money or decide to come or not to come to an event. You need to service their needs more specifically to drive the business of the overall event. And then you're looking at it from the event owners or the investors' perspective, from the private equity. Are you seeing a lot of selling and buying going on in event land in 2026?
This year might be one of the biggest years in the high level M&A in the
Yeah.
industry.
It sounds like you know things, Baris, and I'm gonna before we spill more of those beans, I'm going to invite our listeners right to the backstage part where if you want a sneak peek, he's probably not going to say anything about that, but we might discover some other things. Not to cut your answer short, Baris, but this is the cliffhanger, I think, for people to join us in the backstage episode in just a second. Thank you for being on stage with us and
My pleasure,
hanging
Ruud.
out.
It's been great. You're a great host.
Thank you. It's always a treat to speak to, you know, people that have these deep insights and create initiatives that really can spark mind-changing and mind-bending direction. So thank you for being one of those people and sharing that story and sharing this type of bot, you know, for the general public, which I think is going to inspire many people to become even more, how would I say that? Maybe even more informed, if you will, or can take the time to better create analysis, which might not be everybody's cup of tea, but is a very critical, essential thing in the handshake business 2.0, as you call it, right? And understanding what it looks like when the rubber hits the road. So thank you for doing that.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Thank you. This has been great for me.
Fantastic. Let's play that little jingle, and in the meantime, we're going to get a little sneak peek of what we'll talk about as well in the backstage area.
This has been another episode of the Design to Change Designer Conversation series. Explore these conversations and additional content at designtochange.online. Want more right now? Tune into the backstage episode of this conversation and hear what the experts discuss off stage.
This looks cool.